Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for showing up for the Changing Face of Astrology. Yeah, it's a webinar series with a group of astrologers that is amazing, brought to you by New Paradigm Astrology. And the new paradigm we know is coming, and we are birthing it. And it also changes the way that we look at reality, and it changes our interpretations of astrology. Just as human consciousness expands, our awareness expands. We start looking at the signs and the planets. They discover, Chiron in 77 and more asteroids. And we're going to, talk a little bit about, some asteroids possibly even today, Black Moon Lilith. And so there's these points in space that are, coming, that are new, and even our interpretations of the ancient old archetypes can also be changing. So maybe some of that will come, for us today. Today, we're really talking about, and this is a big shift. After a year and a half, that last year, I called 2016, right, the year of the great purification, and the year of 2017, right, I'm now calling the year of the end of illusion and profound revelation. And a lot of this I get from the moon's nodes. And the moon's nodes are changing signs. So we're going to be talking today with two amazing, beautiful astrologers, part of the dream team. Christina Caudill and Eugenia Kroc are both going to be giving us their take, okay, and their interpretation and some good insights into what this means for you, for everybody, for the planet, for the shifting and changing energy that's going on around here, okay? And then they're also going to talk about what they're bringing to the Astrology Rising Convention. And we timed this Astrology Rising Costa Rica for exactly the day, right in the center of the week, when the moon's node, north node, changes from Virgo to Leo. So I'm going to just, give the floor over to Christina first, I guess. Why don't you, give everybody a little bit of insight into just what that means, Christina. Go for it.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you, Kay Pacha. Thanks for that awesome introduction. And hello to everyone joining us for this. Wow, people from all over the world. Definitely feel free to chat us a hello. And hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions too throughout this webinar. This is the last in the series of the webinars leading up to the great event, the main event, which, as Kay Pacha said, is the Costa Rica conference and Astrology Rising. So I know that when Kay Pacha first talked about Astrology Rising, the first of its kind, he said he chose it, as he said, when the North Node shifted into Leo. We've all been through this great purification of Virgo, right? And it has not been very comfortable for a lot of us. And Eugenia and I were talking earlier that she had said that the #1 book throughout this whole 18-month period has been that one on the magic of tidying up. I don't know, you people, a lot of you've probably heard that book.
Marie Kondo, I believe.
Marie Kondo. She's Japanese, I think.
Japanese.
But okay, so she had this really great book. I mean, everyone I know has it, about tidying up, cleaning up, organizing. Very, very Virgo. And so Virgo has served a purpose, but we are really looking forward to the expansiveness, the fire, and the fun, and the play. It's playtime with Leo, with the North Node moving into Leo. So when we talk about the lunar nodes, of course, when we talk about the North Node, we also refer to the South Node because that's the nodal axis. Now today, for today's purposes, we'll focus mostly on the North Node. That's where the expansion lies. But during the conference, I'll be actually talking about this very topic and going into a lot more detail with the north and south nodes. But in today's talk, and definitely throw out some questions, and I'll get to some of them if I can. But in today's talk, we're going to focus on the North Node in Leo, what that means for our collective destiny and our personal destiny and evolution. So if you'll indulge me here for a second, I'll go ahead and share my screen and show you, let's see, whoopsie. Hopefully this will be helpful. Let me see, view, present. Can you see my screen? Now I cannot see the chat box right now, so I'll have to get any questions later. But K-Pacha, can you confirm that you can see my screen and my image and everything?
Beautiful.
Perfect. Okay. So now I know most of you have been following K-Pacha and are in the group New Paradigm. And so many of you are probably familiar with the nodes, but just to give a little refresher or an introduction to those of you that are still learning about the nodes. So here we have, of course, the Earth in the center. And when we look at the sun, I mean, we know that the Earth actually revolves around the sun, but because we are on the Earth, this is our viewpoint from the Earth. And so we have the sun's path around the Earth. This is called the ecliptic. So the sun's apparent path around the Earth from our viewpoint. And then we've got the path of the moon. And so the moon has an elliptical orbit around the Earth. And as it descends the ecliptic, when it crosses the sun's path, we get the south node. As the moon ascends, goes up across the ecliptic, the sun's path, we get the north lunar node. So, when you hear about the nodes, all planets have nodes, but we really are talking about specifically the moon's nodes. So that's the moon's path. And when we look at these nodes, they are not bodies in space. There is nothing there. There's no object, solid object, orbiting. It is actually just these paths of the moon and the sun crossing. And so you think, well, what could these theoretical points in space have to do with anything? They are actually really significant. They're responsible for the eclipses. When we think of eclipses are simply a new moon and a full moon. Like we have two of those, we have one of each of those every month. But when they get close to these nodes, these theoretical points in space, they create eclipses. And as we know, eclipses are some of the most significant astrological events. We can tend to see and feel their significance, and they're life-changing. And so the lunar nodes are always there. We all have them in our chart. We talk about our north node, our south node, but also when we look at them in a collective sense, they really have a lot to say about our collective emotions as well, because we're talking again about the moon. The moon signifies our emotions, our emotional needs, and our emotional desires. And so the lunar nodes symbolize the evolutionary arc of the moon. So the entire story, as it were, of the moon around the Earth. The south node, we consider it to indicate our past karma, past life material. The north node shows us our future evolutionary intention, right? We all have the ability to evolve. When we put intention there, that just shows where our soul wants to evolve. It takes us to put in the work. It takes us to recognize where we are meant to evolve. So that's why, the soul has an intention to evolve. And it's up to us to make the choices and decisions to align with that evolution. And so collective destiny along this whole sort of idea of the nodes is when we look at the transiting nodes, has a message for all of humanity. And so the sign that the North Node is transiting will emphasize that archetype in the collective, both the high side as well as the shadow side. And I'll talk a little bit about both of those with Leo in a moment. And our collective emotional needs, the moon, will also align with this archetype. And as far as our personal destiny, you want to look at the house where the North Node is transiting in your chart. That will indicate where you're being challenged to develop for your personal evolution and your soul's growth. And it's calling for you to align with the lessons of the sign, so the North Node shifting into Leo. We want to understand more about the Leo archetype and the lessons of Leo in order to expand toward our higher destiny in that area of our chart. And so Leo, as we know, is the element of fire. And so when we think of fire, we literally think of fire in the world. You know, there's a lot more ability for fire to just be seen and recognized in the world, but also within us, this enthusiasm, excitement. You know, when you think of fire and how expansive it is. Leo is ruled by the sun. Its natural ruler is the fifth house, or it rules naturally the fifth house. It's the fixed sign, and it's a yang polarity. So if you know, just to sort of like give you sort of a sense of what we're talking about with Leo. And its opposing sign is Aquarius. So again, the North Node moving into Leo and the South Node in Aquarius. I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the webinar. And so Leo, we know of, the symbol is the lion, and he's the king of the jungle. And the other archetypes that we associate with Leo is the king or the queen, a sense of royalty. It's also the star in the spotlight, the person that is wanting all the attention. Leo is ruled by the sun, so we're talking about the ego. Courageousness and boldness, you know, when Leo is at its very best, it's courageous, it's creative. It also rules children and childlike play. And we also know that creativity and childlike play, or play and fun, they're all intertwined, as is romance. You know, when we think of courting, you know, Leo loves to court, to go all out, to be bold. And so, you know, when we look at how all of these sort of intertwine in this fire sign, we want to keep our eyes open for more of this energy within ourselves. So no matter even if you have planets in Leo or not, we will all be feeling a pull toward this energy. And also we all have the sun. You know, when we think of our zodiac sign, we're thinking of our sun sign, and the sun rules Leo. So there's a resonance there. So even though I am a sun in Capricorn, you know, I still have, you know, that a sun, I still have a Leo archetype within me that I can access and activate. So creativity takes courage. I think this is probably the perfect way to really align with your Leo. Now, some people, again, like K. Pasha has a ton of Leo. He might be willing to share a little bit about his chart later. He's got a lot of Leo. He's your perfect Leo. He's great in front of an audience. Some of us maybe are a little more uncomfortable. My sun in Capricorn is in the 12th house. Not great, not naturally wanting to step in the spotlight, but we'll find that when the North Node is in a sign, things line up. There's more synchronicities when we align with that energy and that archetype. So finding our creativity, having the courage to put ourselves out there and to put our creative gifts out on display. And so, you know, we know that every sign has sort of their high side and their low side, or their bright side and their shadow side. The unbalanced side of Leo can be very prideful or egotistical, or even very elitist, snobbishness, like, you must be part of this royal bloodline or that kind of thing. Boastful, so the unbalanced Leo could also be like a bratty child that doesn't know its power. The key is to know your power. Leo, again, is ruled by the sun, and the sun is the center of our galaxy here, or our solar system, right? So the sun has several planets rotating, orbiting around it, just living off of its radiance, this light that it radiates. And it doesn't have to do anything. It simply is radiating light that these other planets are taking in. And it creates life on our planet. So when you think of a balanced Leo, is really in alignment of their natural radiance. And so a balanced Leo is warm, is generous, and kind, as well as confident. And so you can see, there can even be just a small shift between being, say, boastful and being confident. There's nothing wrong with shining your light, but doing it in a way that is warm and considerate of others as well. Now, when the nodes shift into a sign, we see more of the eclipses in those signs. So as the North Node moves into Leo and the South Node into Aquarius, we will, over the next through 2019, we'll have quite a few eclipses in these signs. And so we just had the lunar eclipse, February 10th in Leo at 22 degrees Leo. And so we all had Leo activated in that chart. And an eclipse is, again, it's an alignment of the sun and the moon, the sun ruling Leo. And so that can really open us up to what our purpose is. When we think of the sun, it rules our life purpose, it rules our being. And when we have this evolutionary shift like an eclipse, there can be a time where we feel eclipsed at really the deepest core of our being. And that is because the sun, our sun, not only the actual physical object, but what it represents for us in our chart, it is being alchemized by this powerful alignment of an eclipse. And so I can have this available later, if maybe we can share this if you wanted to, if you don't get all these dates. But we've got, we just had this Leo eclipse. I listed the Aquarius eclipses too, because, of course, it will affect a Leo as well, since Leo opposes Aquarius. But then we see later this fall, we have the eclipse in Leo, 28 degrees Leo, which is conjunct Donald Trump's ascendant. So that will definitely be something we want to keep an eye on and see how that affects not only Mr. Trump, but the United States and the world at large. But eclipses are always very, very significant to observe. And then again, 2018 through 2019, we'll see more eclipses in Leo Aquarius. Now, what was interesting for this recent eclipse, it was February 10th in Leo. I noticed that, the Grammy Awards was on February 12th, so just after that eclipse. And the singer Adele, she swept the Grammys. Now, Adele does not have Leo planets, of the main planets in Leo, but she would be considered having like the Leo archetype because her sun, which rules Leo, is conjunct Jupiter, tightly conjunct Jupiter, like within a degree or a little over a degree. And Jupiter being the great benefic, right? Like this great expansive force. She has sun conjunct Jupiter in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of the throat, and a lot of singers tend to have Taurus. And she swept the Grammy Awards, and she was like the first artist ever to win all these categories twice or something like that. But anyway, she made history. And we look at how, this is someone aligned with their talent or their creativity, just shining, radiating in the area where they really have a lot of talent and where they can shine. Because when we think of our Leo house, that is the house where we can shine. So consider that when you look at your chart and looking at your Leo house. And also, at that Grammy Awards was Beyonce. She actually made all the headlines the next day, not from winning all of these awards, but for the performance she gave. She gave an incredible performance of some ancient, I don't know, she kind of looked like Inanna to me. I'm not sure what kind of like queen, African queen she was portraying, but I highly recommend going on. And I don't get, I'm not big into pop music myself, but that performance was absolutely like show-stopping, amazing, probably one of the best performances ever on the Grammys. So there again is performing, being creative, taking up the spotlight. And to me, I felt like that was such a beautiful sort of physical interpretation of this Leo archetype. So where do you shine? That will be the really big question for this Leo transit, this North Node in Leo. And again, whether or not you have planets in Leo, we all have Leo somewhere in our chart. It rules some house in our chart. And the sun that rules Leo is also associated with Leo. So looking at your sun and how you can bring that sun more of a sense of purpose. Looking at how you can shine naturally with radiance, having the courage to put yourself out there and to really accept the applause that you get. That's the other thing, is with Leo is meant to have an audience and to get validation. And so accepting that validation, just as a child would, a child loves, Leo rules children, and children love to just play and love to get validation. They love to get, people telling them how great they are. We all have a little bit of that in us somewhere. And this is a time to really expand that part of ourselves. And as Kay Pacha had mentioned, May 10th is when the North Node regresses into Leo, because again, the nodes move in a retrograde fashion. And so that day is also a Scorpio full moon. The Scorpio full moon at 20 degrees Scorpio, which is very interesting. That should be a very powerful time. So check your chart, see what you have going on May 10th. That is when we will be at the Astrology Rising Costa Rica retreat, and I will be hosting the rite of the womb, which is a sacred shamanic rite to heal the womb of women. And the womb is where we create. But as women, a lot of times we hold our fear and our ancient pain in our womb area. And so what we'll be doing is we'll have dozens of women together. Everyone, all the women that are coming to the event are welcome to come. And I had asked for some assistance, like 4 or 5 people, and I think I have like 30 volunteers of women to help out. So we'll figure out how to best flow with that. But what we'll be doing is energetically passing on the sacred rite of the shamans of Peru, of which I received it, and in order to heal the womb of women and thus the energetic womb of the world. So I hope those of you that are thinking about Costa Rica will join us, and it's going to be a beautiful event and lots of fun. We have a lot of entertainment plans, so it's definitely going to be something that you've never been to before. That much we can guarantee. So let me stop, if I can figure out how, did I do that right? Okay. Let me see. How do I get out of here? Stop share. Okay. So Let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Georgia says, I have Pluto at 20 degrees Scorpio, right on that full moon. Oh my, that will be very interesting. You know, Scorpio, you can't, I mean, Pluto, you won't be able to get away from that Pluto. There's some definite transformation that Pluto will be asking of you. So take some time for that full moon to really see where your transformation is taking place in your life and in your chart.
I think what we might want to do, Christine, is take more of the questions at the end.
Okay, great.
If people can hold on to those for a little bit. We're going to come back to Christina. Thank you. Beautiful, amazing. That was like a lot of information.
Oh, was it a lot? Oh my gosh. To me, I thought it was just like the highlights. Believe me, that's the highlights.
Perfect, man. And we're also going to come back to you because we want to hear you explain what you're going to be giving away today to people. So we'll be coming back. So thank you. Beautiful.
You're welcome.
And if you've got questions for Christina, just kind of save them up a little bit. And after Eugenia has a chance and I have a little chance, we'll see how long we go, and we'll try to get to some questions by the end of it. All right? Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
All right. I see you in there. You're tiny on my screen, Eugenia. What have you got for us?
I am. Hi, everyone. How fun and Aquarian is this? This online community of people, this incredible technology that allows people literally from all over the world to be in the same place at the same time, connecting and communicating. It's so awesome. I, as an Aquarius myself, am super jazzed up about this nodal placement because I love all things Aquarius. I love the community. I love the group. I love being parts of groups. So Christina did the great honor of kind of explaining some of the basic concepts of the nodes. And thank you, Christina, for doing that. That was awesome. Because I think it is like a convoluted idea for a lot of people. They're just like, what is this? So when we think about the nodes, yeah, they're a big deal. They might be like the biggest deal in astrology. When we're looking at charts, whether it's just in clients' charts or we're looking at the current cultural situation we're in, we can always really see that the foundation or almost the feeling, the aesthetic of the culture of the time is really mirroring those nodes. It's kind of like below the surface. So as Christina had mentioned, you know, that organization book was really popular with the North Node in Virgo. And Pisces, you know, we saw a lot of things leave us. And that is the intention of Pisces. That's the intention of Virgo, is to let go and let God into Pisces, even if it's a little confusing and we're a little like, what's going on? But from what I can tell, working with my own process and then working with clients all over the world, is that the last 18 months have really been about letting go of things that could have possibly held us back from moving into our Leo essence, moving us into a really profound creation, moving us into a humanitarian cause. You know, we have started to weed things out, whether we wanted to or not. Oftentimes it came whether we wanted it or not. But nevertheless, as we kind of have made space, like this is quite literally the chance to start new. This is new, you know, we're coming at the end of the Venus retrograde, you know, we're coming to all these culminating points in the sky where we're really birthing a new life. So the timing of this conference is perfect. So I also have a little presentation I'm going to share. And my presentation is going to talk more about the historical, just some basic historical dates for you guys to just kind of put in your mind. I have a group of astrologers I work with, and we are always looking at dates and putting together facts and figures. And it's this little team I work with. And we actually had a really long conversation about the nodes recently, where we went into so many historical charts and so many celebrity charts and well-known figure charts with this placement. But because we don't have tons of time for this webinar, I had to kind of discern and really get in the people and the events that I thought really mirrored what was happening the last few times that the nodes were in this place of Leo and Aquarius. And just to keep in mind that when a child is born under a certain nodal placement, they are born from a psychological perspective. We are taking in all that information when we come to Earth, and it creates these neural synaptic pathways in our brain. So if someone was just born under the Virgo Pisces nodal placement, that's going to be a big piece of their story, a big piece of their curriculum in this lifetime, because they were coming into a world where there was fake news. We didn't know what was going on. Everyone wanted to check out and leave. Everyone wanted to get organized. So these children will have that thread, that theme in their hearts forever, as we all do with our own nodal placement. So when I talk about the historical events of this, we can really look at that. What is the flavor of the nodal axis of Leo and Aquarius? And then children born under that axis, what does that mean for their life to come? So for any of those of you listening who have this natally, you know, happy natal or nodal return, because if you're having a nodal return right now, this is a big 18 months to come, or a nodal opposition or square even. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So let me know when you guys see it. Can you see this?
Yes, we see it great, Eugenia.
Okay, great. Okay, so nodal shifts. So we're going to go over some of the stuff that well, not really. This is going to be a lot different than actually what Christina spoke about. But what we're looking at here is the Leo South node. We talked about this, Aquarius, this is May to November 2018, okay? So this is kind of just giving us that introduction. So if we're looking back at historical dates, you know, because we don't have a ton of time, I'm just looking back to the 40s. Now, the nodes go in this place very often, so this is a small amount of data and a small amount of collection of information that I'm sharing with you all today. But I think you're going to start to feel a noticeable theme when we're looking at this. So I'm not seeing the chat box, so I can't really see if anyone's saying anything. So I'm going to kind of keep going. And Kaipacha and Christina, if somebody says something, just holler at me.
I'll keep an eye on it for you.
Awesome. Awesome. So one of the really fascinating things that my team and I kind of realized after really combing through these documents was that we're seeing these themes really emerge during the Leo Aquarius nodal axis around authoritarianism, I can never say that word, versus democracy. We're seeing a lot of things happen historically that have been not just historical for the moment, but have been historical actions that have affected history greatly. So I'm just going to do some brief pieces about this. But for those of you who are interested, you know, I really encourage you, look back at these dates, see what was going on. Just take note in your mind what was happening at those times. So this is kind of some of the not so awesome stuff. It's kind of the political stuff, but this is truly the type of events that tend to unfold during the Leo Aquarius axis. So we saw it during war. So we saw it during the Manhattan Project. That was a big piece of it in 1942. We saw the construction of the Berlin Wall. And this is really interesting because for those of us in America, we know that there's a similar wall wanting to be built in America right now from Mexico. So there's a really interesting mirroring in the sky to the events in human history. Okay. We also saw in 1962 the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is a very massive deal, of course, but we can actually start to see the themes of these particular political events, that the implication of them was so much greater than just the events themselves. You know, we see a lot of things come out of this, like the UN. We see a lot of agreements within nations made after we look at nuclear warfare and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of expression and there's a lot of humanitarianism in these particular placements. 2000, 2001, when it was there, we saw George W. Bush become president and Vladimir Putin of Russia. So it's really interesting that he's back in the news big time. There's a real synchronicity there, or a cosmic perfection with all of that. We're seeing some of those themes reemerge. And of course, we saw the September 11th attacks. And something to think about with that is that was, at least as an American, that was an incredible time of community. That was a time when neighbors came out of their houses and supported one another, that Aquarius communal feel, that communal theme, whereas Leo is that expression. So in terms of kind of some softer stuff, some humanitarian movements that we saw come out of this nodal placement, we saw the very first computer ever. So one of the things that we think about is Leo is that self-expression, which Christina really helped explain. Aquarius is the polar opposite of that. Aquarius is the group's expression. It's how can we work collectively to affect change in the world, to affect social movement in the world. And so that Leo ideology, or that Leo inspiration, can kind of put these massive ideas into creation. And actually, Christina used a great example, you know, with Kaipacha having Leo, it's such a perfect example that he's able to create a community, right? And the community comes together, and that's, of course, the Aquarius piece. So what else is technology except to, you know, connect community? It's amazing with the internet how many friends I have online. It's like the weirdest thing ever. I love it. But I'm connected to people all over the world because of these incredible devices we have. And as an Aquarius, I love technology. I have literally 5 computers sitting in front of me right now because I'm always on computers doing research and kind of thinking up big ideas. The Beatles' first record comes, and we see the British invasion. So this is a big deal. The Beatles, Leo, Aquarius, they were a massive, they had a massive effect on humanity. Not every band will do that. Not every musician will do that, have a massive effect on literally all of humanity. And with the Beatles coming out with their first record during one of these nodal placements, it really, again, it shows us that flavor, similar to when Christina was talking about Beyonce and Adele, how they were having this incredible creative expression during that eclipse. This is the same kind of thing we can see with the Beatles' first record. It really had that Leo Aquarian nature to it. Silent Spring came out in September of '62. For those of you who don't know, Silent Spring was written by Rachel Carson, and she was the woman who essentially pointed out that if we don't take care of our earth, it won't be great. Now, I don't know how much we've listened, but it essentially started the green movement. And so this is another humanitarian expression of this Leo, a nodal placement. Of course, we see also the launch of MTV. So how Leo is that? And of course, MTV has like quite literally changed music as a whole. It's changed humanity. I watched a couple documentaries recently on the launch of MTV, and, you know, with these videos, and there was a Van Halen video that came out, Hot for Teacher. And, you know, it's just kind of crazy. It was mind blowing at the time that this teacher stands up in front of this group of young boys and she shakes it. And this was on MTV. So they really started to bring in new imagery, which is very creative energy into humanity. They really shifted that massively. And then kind of more recently was when Wikipedia was founded, which is very perfect, right? Technology, lots of big things. It's a community encyclopedia. People can contribute to it. It's you know, put together through donations. So you can start to feel with these particular events, and of course there's many, many more that show a really great correlation. However, with these particular events, I think that they really highlight the essence of that nodal placement. So let's get into a couple of quick charts, and I'm not going to actually get into the charts, but I do want to just mention a few of these folks who have this Leo Aquarius nodal placement natally in their charts. So Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, and I didn't get to fit her on here, but Janis Joplin as well. And I think that that's pretty amazing. It's pretty mind-blowing, actually, that all three of these guys had this. They were musicians. They had that strong Leo ability to affect large amounts of people. And their music was, again, it affected large amounts of people through the Aquarius piece. And they were all singing in protest in a lot of ways. It was that, it was that time. It was, the Pluto-Uranus conjunction when we're seeing all these shifts in humanity and all these protests and activism. And that's what their music really had a huge influence, or it influenced that hugely. Barack Obama, he has got this placement natally. And Barack Obama, need I say more? He's a Leo. I think most of you know that. And he, I think he really wanted to do humanitarian causes. I think Obamacare, things of that nature, really mirror this placement with him, right? And I think too, whenever we see the North Node in Leo, like Christina was saying, we're always moving towards our North Node. It's that South Node that comes so habitually to us. It's that energy we don't have to think much about. And so when we see people with Aquarius South Nodes, there's a habitual desire to do humanitarian work. There's a habitual desire, in some cases, to hide in the crowd, or to do really big things that affect the crowd and not take credit. So it's kind of hard to look at this for celebrities charts as opposed to client charts, because it does show up really differently. But when people can achieve that Leo North Node, they can affect incredible amounts of humans in this earth. George Harrison, he was the kind of humanitarian of the Beatles, sent them over to India and had them start thinking about spiritual ideologies and how to integrate spirituality into music. And this was and he was the one who kind of hid back, right? Like George Harrison was the quiet one. He wasn't kind of the standout one. So he was really working all the time towards that Leo North Node. Gandhi, need I say more? Gandhi, of course, is one of the most notable humanitarians that we know of. So he's a perfect example. Princess Diana, she's got this placement, and need I say more about Princess Diana? That was her whole shtick. And she really did have a hard time with the Leo energy. I've watched a couple of documentaries about her. I don't know. I never met her, so I don't know what she was thinking, but it seems like she really struggled with being famous. But she also did her best to make the most of that. She put that crown to work and did amazing things for the world at large. So, so that is me. And so I guess I'll just say I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you in Costa Rica. I'm super, super excited. The two talks that I will be coming with a talk on basic astrology. Because I have a background in psychology and therapy, I have, and I've been doing astrology for a decade, and I've had my master's degree for a decade. What I really hope to do with people I work with is I really hope they understand astrology. That's my big thing, from the really basics. And I like to use tools that I have learned through the psychological aspect of my training and really link it into astrology. And so that's one of the things that, I aim to do in general, but that's one of the things I'll certainly be trying to do at the conference. So I'll be kind of the 101 girl, and we're going to just talk about really basic aspects of astrology, signs, houses. It's going to give you a nice, clean understanding of it, so that those of you who are at the earlier stages of your interest in astrology can take that information and then go to each lecture after that and really understand what people are talking about. I will also be talking in a format similar to this, because I am kind of a historian and a sociologist, kind of first and foremost. I will be talking a lot too about feminism. And I have my team, my Accessible Astrology team, we're really working on getting data right now. We're working on really putting together an incredibly comprehensive program for all of you, so you can really see the historical data, the charts of feminists. So we're going to get into the charts of feminists, and we're going to kind of cover about 8 goddess archetypes in the sky. I know that some of the other astrologers are going to get into more specifics with other goddesses, but I'm going to be giving you some general information about those goddess archetypes, from Ceres to Black Moon Lilith to Isis to Sedna to Eris. So I'm going to be giving you some historical data of when these things were found, who found them, their charts, and we're going to start to put together a nice comprehensive understanding of the goddess aspect of astrology and how it really mirrors the feminist movement in humanity. So we're going to talk about all of those different things. So I think that is it. Let's see. Yeah.
Hey.
And yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say for now. Of course, I always have tons to say, tons and tons to say, but that's it for now.
Well, we're going to be coming back to you too. It's like, wow, yeah, amazing. It's going to be so great to see you two in person and like be side by side on the beach and at the at
Totally.
the Astrology Rise. This is going to be so cool. Yeah, so I guess I'm supposed to say something, you know. I mean, you two really covered a lot. I just, what really strikes me, and I think that, you know, Christina brought up very strongly that the south node of the moon has to do with past karma. And our past karma, our past lives. Jeffrey Wolf Green in Evolutionary Astrology really points to the south node of the moon as being the path of least resistance. It's where we can get stuck in our conditioning, in our patterning, in our ruts from lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And we can see in the last year and a half as it's been in Pisces. Pisces and Neptune is addictions. It's the immune system breaking down. It's lack of boundaries. It's really losing ourselves, wanting to escape, wanting to deny, wanting to avoid. It's been a very confusing time of getting overly stimulated, overly sensitized, so many people getting overwhelmed. Okay, and this also leads to depression. It leads to suicide. It leads to stepping back, stepping out, and stepping away, going away from the world. And so that has been the challenge for the last year and a half. In fact, it's very interesting because it's been the challenge for the age of Pisces that we are emerging out of 2,000 years of that age of Pisces. So we're waking up. And it's almost amazing because like these moon's nodes kind of give us this glimmer of what this age of Aquarius, this is going to be the first time, okay, for like this new age, this, you know, age of Aquarius, yeah, the nodes going into Aquarius and Leo. And I want to point to like the way out of all that Pisces stuff has been Virgo. And the North Node is the unfamiliar and the unknown. So it's a little scary to go there, and it requires intention, right? Like, you know, like our astrologers have been saying, a consciousness, a will force, a focusing. So Virgo, purifying, purging, analyzing, working, sacrificing, serving, finding our sacred work. This last year and a half has been about coming out of la-la land, out of dreamland, out of escapism and denial, and like getting down to earth. Now it's interesting to me that also these nodes have been in feminine, you know, in astrology, Pisces and Virgo are feminine, and they're shifting into fire and air, and this is masculine. So there's also been this focus kind of on my inner path, my inner work, my inner health, my need to integrate, okay, my inner self. And now Aquarius and Leo is going to bring a different feel. I feel like it's already, you know, kind of coming with this Jupiter opposite Uranus, man. It's like, ah! And it's really, you know, about And I have to think also then, you know, of what Eugenia said. Before they discovered Uranus, Aquarius was ruled by Saturn. And you also want to look to Saturn as the ruler. In fact, Jeffrey talks about, yes, you know, our evolutionary astrology teacher, that you also want to look at in the last year and a half, Neptune. You want to look at your planet of Neptune and the house and sign of your Neptune as being where you need to let go or release and where you can experience loss. And it's been Mercury, because Mercury rules Virgo, and it's even for these next couple of months, that is this north node in this path of the future. So now as they shift, we're going to see this, it's almost like this battle between the establishment, the Saturn, the conservative, the go back. Okay, let's also say Aquarius is science and technology, and it's almost like Saturn is astronomy and Uranus is astrology. You've also got conservative, the elite, the Illuminati, okay, that is very well set on Saturn being Newtonian physics. Thank you very much. Cause and effect. So we have, okay, the consensus experience of Aquarius is the need and the desire to belong to the group, to not be weird, to not be an alien, to get peer approval and peer acceptance. And this actually requires a suppressing of my Leo. So we also can look at, okay, and we also can even see that Uranus, let's look at the Uranus side. When we move into this south node, this Uranian, the downside or the shadow side, okay, I call it a head on a stick. Okay, it is the extraterrestrial intelligence. It's air castles in the sky. It's living in bubble land, my own little bubble, my own little technology. And I'm, you know, Asperger's or whatever. I can focus and I'm a computer geek and I know everything online, but don't give me a flesh and blood person or I am going to freak. I much prefer Facebook, where I can, and email, where I can just say any damn thing I want to say, you know, and I can just like slap it all out there, and I'm in this know-it-all land, and I'm, you know, the professor and the, you know, but, you know, so this is where we can also become so impersonal and so computerized and so in our heads and so, yeah, just like, oh my God, it's all politics and what's going on with the fame and the elite and the, you know, this out. So there's a great danger here of losing our humanity. And this is answered by, it takes this north node of the moon to really pull us into, yes, in medical astrology, the, you know, the sun and Leo rules the heart. And this fiery realm is enthusiasm. Christina mentioned it. It's joy. It's fun. It's play. It is a smile. And a smile is an acceptance of relationship. So we move into almost like this childlike quality of I am who I am, and I am authentic, and I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve, and I just am, and it's scary. The fear of Leo is the fear of rejection, that they're not going to like my show, my song, my play, my dance. They're going to ridicule me, laugh at me, and I am going to be alienated from the group, and I will go right out, you know, I'm going back to Aquarius. I'm getting in my UFO and taking off, baby. So our challenge, really, Pisces and Aquarius are both like out there and up there and imagination and genius. Okay, and the pull is Virgo and Leo. It's like bring it down, bring it in, create something tangible, enthusiastic, inspirational. Be the Pied Piper and like really light up and illuminate. It's not how much you know, it's who you are. It's your magnetic field. So this north node of the moon, you want to look where Leo is in your chart, and you want to look, you know, particularly at the later degrees of Leo. And this is where you really want to consciously aim and direct your conscious attention into becoming, and this is the tricky part, original. No one can teach you how to be you. There is no recipe. There are no instructions. So the challenge of Leo is to like pull themselves like a rabbit out of a hat. I have to make, it's like, I don't know who I am, or I don't know it's just like original, like what am I that's so special or that's so unique that nobody else can do or nobody else can be? It's like, so this astrology rising that we're doing, we're all getting together in groups. Not solo. We got to get in groups. We're going to sing songs together, or we're going to do a play together. This is not about, oh, I know this, or I can teach you this, or I'm going to bring this. It's about getting together with a small group of people. And then on the last final day, it's not just all about astrology's yapping at you or astrologers, you know, coming with all this stuff. It is about each and every person that shows up having their turn in the limelight, on the stage, showing their stuff, strutting their stuff. It is going to be outrageous, yeah? So this is like an opportunity for each and every one of you who comes. And today we're giving you like this super freaking, I think these are the cheapest tickets that you could possibly get in order to show up down here and have your turn to be seen, to be heard, to be videoed, to be recorded, like to bring your original, special, outrageous self, yeah? The thing is, and this is what now I got to share my screen because I want to show you, right, you know, some of what we are going to be having. Yeah, baby. There's the beach. There's the ocean. There's the Pacific. There's the sunset. We're going to be doing yoga right out here in this yard every morning at sunrise. And over here on the right, okay, this is where you've got, you know, the pool and the beach and the resort. So it's all going on right there in front of it. Okay, there's where we are. There's the pool. You'll be in one of those rooms. Yeah, looking out on that awesome flamingo beach. It's totally outrageous, you guys. I mean, this is a beautiful, 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 and there's a lot of privacy. You could be sitting on one of those chairs in the first week of May, getting your tan. Yeah, girls. And this is up here. This is the restaurant where Scott Huckabee. I don't know if you've heard of Scott Huckabee. You got to check him out on YouTube. You know, he channels the dolphin energy through his guitar, and he is like one of the most outrageous musicians. He's going to be playing right there. Okay, this is a poolside bar. All you can eat, all you can drink. Okay, the whole frickin' week that you're there, it's just going to be about celebrating life, celebrating our potential of all that we have been given by Gaia. We need to celebrate each other. We want to celebrate nature. We're going to have fires out there in the yard. We're going to have dancing. We're going to have music. We really want to, we're going to have drumming at the sunsets. This is just going to be a beautiful, amazing experience of meeting new people. And that's the thing. We're almost sold out, you guys. I got to say, there's no more single rooms, so you're not coming by yourself. You'll get a real chance to meet people. In fact, we're even sold out of double rooms. But what we do have are some super low priced tickets for sharing your room with two other people where there's going to be, 2 beds and a sofa bed. In these rooms, they can hold 3 people. Oh, sorry, you can't, those are not happening. But you can see here, you've got 2 beds, and then this is a queen size double sofa bed, super comfortable that comes out. And so we've got, 3 of these rooms left. Yeah. So we can hold 9 more people. That's the spa. There's a spa at this resort if you'd like to really, have a chance to relax wholly, fully, and completely. So what I want to share with you today, okay, really, is that if you can come May 6th to 13, okay, 6 to 13, we've got for you today, just for showing up, okay, at this webinar for learning about the moon's nodes, okay, we have got, what is it? It expires in 2 days, 6 hours, and 58 minutes. We got a special offer for you, baby. Admission to all the activities, the conferences, the astrology, the music, the yoga classes, the workshop, all you can eat, snacks, beverages, food, okay, this triple room. And I'm going to give away for you, just for checking out the webinar, my webinar, okay, which is the basics of astrology, all about the signs, planets, and houses. And maybe, Christina, can you just share in 1 minute what you can be giving away for people just in the next 48 hours?
Yes, I will gift those of you that are joining us in Costa Rica in the next 48 hours. I'll be happy to gift you an hour astrology reading with me. I do it like this over Zoom, and we'll talk about your astrology chart, the map of your soul, and focus on your personal path of destiny. We all have the nodes in our chart. We know the sign and the house, the aspects it makes, certain important transits coming up to them. It's like your own, looking at your own personal, eclipse times, your own personal times of destiny calling, your path from karma to dharma. And so that would be a one-on-one session with me, and I'm happy to gift that to you.
And Eugenia is also giving you some time. What do you got, Eugenia?
I'm doing it. I'm going to hang out with you guys if you want to. I just recently developed a 2-hour long presentation about the goddesses in astrology. So it goes over Ceres, Vesta, Juno, Athena, Lilith, Eris, Isis, Sedna. I think there's a couple more in there, and it's a nice presentation, which was kind of an introduction to what I'll be talking about more at the conference. So it's a great video to have if you come listen to my talk or hang out with me at the conference as well. And I will do a 30-minute check-in with you to look at the goddesses in your chart specifically. So we're going to go over your Ceres, your Vesta, and so on and so forth, and just look at how what you learned in my presentation really relates to your chart so you can start using it for other people's charts.
All right. And now you will not believe it. You will not believe it. You get all of this. I'm going into sales now, man. This is, so you get the ticket, which is usually like, almost $1,900. You're going to get my course, my 8-week Astrology 101, and a reading from Christina, okay, and a session with Eugenia with her presentation. You're going to get it all happening like right now for only $1,600. This is like a week in in Costa Rica. It's not. That's where I'm going, but yeah. So we've got, so it's just like what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this link for this page in the chat box, okay, so that you can have a chance to, go for that. I'm going to put that in there right now. And like I say, I'm very sorry that there's only we've got 8 spots left. So like it's only going to be the first 8 people that are going to be able to take full advantage of this. You want to be clicking on that link right now. Okay, join us in Costa Rica, learn more about yourself, about your chart, about astrology, about the future, about the age of Aquarius, meet amazing people like Tina and Eugenia, and oh my God, swim with some dolphins or whatever, baby. So
I want to swim with dolphins. That's amazing. That's great. We get to do that.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn off the recording. I mean, we can hang out a little bit and still answer questions for a little bit. I'm in no hurry to go anywhere. Let's put a limit on it. Maybe just 5-10 minutes of big huge questions from anybody about anything that anybody spoke about. Let's go for that. For now, for the recording, namaste.
Aloha.
So
Much love.
Bye-bye.